So friends, I'm very happy to start this new event, and I'm very happy to welcome you on this March starts. Once again, Gianluca Masi speaking from the Virtual Telescope project with the aim to introduce people to the wonders of the universe visible right now over there. We have been running this appointment over the last year, a bit more I must say, and it has been for us a great satisfaction seeing your continued interest, and I'm very happy to acknowledge your kind support this way. And we are now ready to share what is up in the sky for this new month, the month of March. This is, I would say, a nice month for a lot of people, at least for those living in the northern hemisphere. And this is making possible for me to remember that this event actually will concentrate on the northern stars. So I apologize with our friends joining for the southern hemisphere. We are still working, as I used to say, on the southern version, but I must say that for reasons this is not possible at this time. Anyway, we are with the March starts. I was saying it is a very nice month for the northern hemisphere because we are going to wait for spring, hoping that it will bring a better weather condition because the last winter, at least in Italy, was really a bad season with just a few good nights for observing, for looking up through the universe. And here it is a map I'm going to share showing what is up in the sky just for March 15 at 8:30 p.m. This star map has been calculated for Italy, I would say for central Italy, Rome, but it can be used quite easily for every position in Europe, at least just with the only exception with the very northern locations. And I think that it is still very useful. But of course, to be useful, this map should be shared with you. And this is what I'm going to say right now. Just providing the simplest version, because I just asked the system to display the stars without labels, without lines, without any other addition. This is the best, I would say, the most natural vision we can have here, as in the sky you really do not have captions or whatever. You just have to look around and you're just to find your way to the stars, you know. So we will start from this anonymous situation. This is also making possible for you to guess where the brightest stars are, where the Milky Way is, and also the moon, you see, without any help from any graphical thing, because we do not have graphics up there, fortunately. And it is easy to see that the brightest stars are in the bottom right, where the winter stars are still shining. And you can recognize, at least people with some background in astronomy can easily recognize Orion, the hunter there, also Sirius, shining as the eye of Canis Major, the big dog. But also other things and new things are coming from east. And I want to remember you that you can see this map at its best by clicking on it, and this will open the same map on another window of your browser, and this should help you also to save, right-clicking on the map itself and saving it on your computer. This is a good thing to do because we are going to show different maps, and if you miss one of them, maybe that you will have trouble. So I really suggest to save them. They are about 10 in total, so not so much memory for you on your computer. But I'm going to add something more clear here, and the next step is just showing you the constellations figures. I just added the lines making apparent shapes and the figures there. This should help giving an identity to every place all around your head. And names are still missing. They will be the next step, but I still want to have you just looking at this. And I just discovered that I didn't start sharing star maps, and this is a clear demonstration. We are running live, and I apologize for this, but you know, this is quite a complex system. Here it is. I'm just going to to do a step back and just showing again the most pristine map without names. And here it is for you. Sorry for the inconvenience, friends. Maybe that you mentioned this on the chat, but I was not looking there. Okay, so the star map is coming now, and let me check that it is coming really. Okay, it is there. So just save this if you want by clicking on it, and I'm going to show the other map with the very same stars, but just with the addition of lines, making it easier for you to recognize what is what overhead. And here it is, the map with the constellation lines on. Just going to share it. It is very similar. They are perfectly one over the other, I must say, but with the only addition of lines. You can recognize some shapes like Orion, like Taurus, like Leo, the lion. I'm just mentioning those shapes which are resembling very well the name of the animal of the personage they are just putting into immortality, you know. But it is time for me to add names as well. Just giving you a few more seconds to you for saving this. And thank you to those who mentioned the image problem. It should be fixed by now, as I see this working regularly now. And I'm just going to add constellation figures and names, just adding the names of stars, possibly, and the constellations, at least everything, and the map is coming to you. This is a quite crowded map, I see, but this is why I really want to show this step by step. At least you have the natural version, and now you have also the star map populated with names, very fascinating names, ancient names, showing how the sky is a place where civilization meets from every corner of the globe. This is perhaps the most democratic place where we just cross our different eyes, our different sides without any trouble. And we should go back to this perception, I guess, also when we just walk on this planet. This is at least my personal consideration. And here you can see that the winter stars, with their master, the hunter, Orion, to use the Latin pronunciation, is just leaving the meridian, the privileged place of the sky looking south, and all the other winter stars are going away, the dogs, the twins, of course, and also the charioteer, Auriga, and of course the bull, Taurus. And right now, if you look to the south, you can easily see that no bright stars are there. By chance, on March 15th, at this time, you have a quite bright moon, a moon going to be full in a few more days after this date. So the moon will be very dominant in that moment, and you can easily see anyway that no bright stars are there. Last month at this time we had plenty of bright stars. They are now part of history, you know. This is another month, another season, but other stars, not as bright as the winter ones, are just climbing from east, and there you can easily see typical spring heroes, I would say, characters like Leo, like Ursa Major, the big bear, and also you can see also Bootes with the bright Arcturus star, which is the brightest stars lying in the northern hemisphere. I mean north of the celestial equator, and it is so a very bright star, and at least it will be, I must say, a secure reference point for the next months. And this is the general view, and you can also see that the Polaris is, of course, sitting every night of the year very close to the celestial pole that is in the very same place from your personal location. So you can use the Polaris star any night for just recognizing your orientation, you know. And this is the general view, but I still want, as usual, I just want to share the details, looking in different directions of the horizons. Too bad that the weather is cloudy, as I am receiving a few alerts from colleagues in Japan suggesting me to do some observations, but it's raining in Italy right now. That's part of the story, you know, that's nature. So we are just going looking west, and we are going to say, I will say goodbye to the wonderful winter stars. I have some melancholy every time I see the winter stars going away, because when I started at my childhood looking the sky, the very first starry panorama I was able to identify was the winter one, and this is why also the name of my observatory is Bellatrix, like the right shoulder of Orion, you know. And but I don't want to do poetry now, just want to share this kind of cosmic scapes, and here it is for you, the western detail. If you look west with some detail, here it is what is up in the sky. As I said, we are going to say goodbye to typical winter figures, especially the bull Taurus is going away, and right now it is showing its shape at its best. You can easily recognize the V shape of the bull head with the bright red eye Aldebaran, a star I really love, and also you can see the full appearance of this strong animal, which is going apparently against Orion, which is just lying on the left, and you can recognize its typical human shape, also with the shield apparently saving Orion himself against the bull coming from west. And you can also see that Perseus is still there, significantly high, and that those stars are very, I must say, very north in the sky, in the very northern part, and this is why they are living, they are surviving so long, no matter they are typical autumn stars. But also Capella, the sixth brightest star in the sky, is shining so strong in the Auriga constellation, and it is nice to recognize this very bright star. And altogether, the wonderful gems of the winter sky, we will miss them, I must say, even if the next summer will have, you know, other jewels, but these ones are just amazing. So we are going to say goodbye to this, but you have time to observe the winter portion of the sky, because you can start a bit earlier than 8:30 p.m. and in that case you will have the stars even better present in the sky. And also, if this is the situation for the half of the month, if you start earlier in the month, they are again higher and higher, you know, because they are moving very slowly west, day after day, night after night, and the earlier you start, the better is, of course, your vision. But if you still want to have a look here. But we say that the master in the sky is the guy sitting in the south direction, at least if you live north from the terrestrial equator, and here it is what is just showing in that direction. As we saw from the general star map, here we are basically missing very bright star. Tug Sirius is still in that direction, and of course Sirius is the brightest night star we have around, and the big dog is wonderful with its shape, and while it is always low above the horizon from our typical European latitudes, it is so easy to recognize, and this is fantastic. Sorry for my as I am really involved with this part of the sky, but you know, this is just great. And other very faint and pale things are here, and you can easily recognize also the zodiacal constellation of the crab, Cancer, and they are pale stars, and that night, the half of March, they will be completely washed out by a very bright moon. So this is just one thing to take into account. The moon is, of course, at that date too bright for seeing the faintest stars, of course, like light pollution, you know. And also the water snake Hydra is coming with the Alphard, its brighter stars, not so bright but easily to recognize because there are no other antagonists around. It is the brightest star in that part of the sky. But let's move and look east. Let's meet the typical spring constellation. Just sending also the east sector to you. I'm just checking that everything is working fine. Before to go ahead, I still prefer to be sure that you are receiving everything. Okay. We are looking, I see that this is showing, and you can easily recognize the typical constellations of the season, the spring. We are still waiting for the spring. The spring will come at the very end of March the 20th, and at least universal time. So it is just question of 20 days by now. And you can easily recognize the lion here, and of course you can see the big bear, as well as even better the Big Dipper, and the maiden Virgo is still not showing at its best. At least its brightest stars is not there, that is Spica, but you can start seeing the ringed planet, perhaps one of the most the greatest view you can have once you just leave the planet Earth. Saturn is really going to prepare a wonderful season of visibility, and of course it is just showing here, but we will have plenty of fun in the next weeks with this amazing place in the sky. And of course also Bootes is coming, is showing with its full shape, but perhaps it's still too early to enjoy this portion, at least at the beginning of the night. As I used to say, if you really have troubles to go to sleep, you can wait deeper and deeper in the night, and you can see this part of the sky climbing, and of course you will miss the western portion. It is up to you to decide how much time to be under the stars. Of course, in any case, this part of the sky will be better visible next month, because each month you are just gaining a portion of the sky at the same fixed time. This is because the planet Earth is moving around the Earth, so it is changing what is behind your shoulder compared to the sun. This is the reason why you are accessing different places, of course, of the sky while the Earth is moving around. And also there is also a combination of the rotational period of our planet. And I want to make justice also to the zenith, you know, that is the part of the sky sitting directly overhead, and that is the most privileged place on the sky. And here we are going to show what is all around the zenith. The star map is coming. You can easily see Zeus, Sons, Castor and Pollux, the twins, Gemini in Latin. You can easily see once again Auriga, and with its full extension you can really enjoy the Big Dipper and the Big Bear, of course. And here you can easily see that the lion is still not at the best position at the time of the date, but soon it will reach also the southern direction. In the very center of the star map, it is the formal zenith. The formal zenith, I say for Rome, because if you go, for example, to visit Jimmy, you have to leave for Northern Europe, and Jimmy, for example, should have overhead the Big Dipper that we will not have here in Italy. And the same, of course, if you find, for example, people in Greece, they are a bit southern than me in Rome, and they will have southern star directly overhead. In other words, what is at the zenith, it is strongly depending from your latitude. And this is a nice way to estimate your latitude, as well as the altitude of the polar star above your horizon is exactly equal to the latitude of your place. If you are on the northern pole, the polar star, the celestial pole, is just overhead. If you are on the equator, the celestial pole is sitting on the horizon, so you basically do not see the polar star. This is funny. This is also to remember how our ancestors used to travel, to cross the sea just looking at the stars, because they were able to estimate a few things. At least this is another good usage of the sky, you know. But to make justice for sure, we have to look also north, and if you look north, we will see other old friends, because we have met this in the past many times. And you see here the Polaris. It is there for your lifetime, and the only different aspect here is that every other star is rotating around like I would say an arrow of a clock pointer, you know. And this is also the Ursa Minor, the little bear. You can see also the king Cepheus and the queen Cassiopeia. They are now approaching their lowest position ever, because they are really they are going to just to brush the horizon, you know. And in any case, this is not the best period for you to look at those stars. If you really want, they are there, but if you can wait 6 months, and next autumn they will be where now you see the big dipper. Now I have just a few suggestions for you if you want to concentrate on something, and this time I just decided to pick 3 different targets, and I just want to make sure that everybody will try to observe. I just selected a bright star that you can see with your naked eye, and that star is by chance Aldebaran, one of the stars I really like and love more. And I'm just making sure that an ID card will appear with some basic data, more than basic actually, showing a number of things, a number of numbers I must say, about this star. And what is really evident, obvious when you look at Aldebaran, that we also call the eye of the bull, is of course its color. It is a wonderful orange color, and this is happening because it is a very evolved star, you know. And the temperature also is giving us an idea about the surface temperature on the photospheric place, the photospheric layer of the star, where the temperature is about 4,050 hundreds of degrees. So it is not a so hot star, of course, once compared against the hotter stars. And this star has a lot of story, a lot of mythology lurking behind its orange light. And also, you know, just checking that the map is showing okay, it is also nice to mention that you see Aldebaran at the very end of the left branch of the V shape, marking the head of Taurus, and the other stars on the V are the Hyades. They are an open cluster, a family of very young stars, But Aldebaran is just there for a by perspective, you know. It is not part of that cluster. If you go and you measure the distance of Aldebaran, you retrieve a distance of about 70 light years. So you are just seeing a light telling a story which is 70 years old. This is perhaps the most fantastic effect we have from from the sky. I love this partial time machine, you know. And while Hyades are about twice the distance, so we can say in another different way that Aldebaran is just in the middle between us and the Hyades. So for sure, Aldebaran is not part of that family. We also know that Aldebaran is just releasing a total energy which is about 400 of times more than the one produced by the sun, and also its diameter is about 45 larger. This is, we call this a giant star. And we also know that in the very center of the Aldebaran, where the temperature is higher, we do not have hydrogen burning and transforming to helium. That is the most basic step in energy production inside stars, and the energy production inside stars is actually helping the star just keeping the whole structure in equilibrium, you know. Right now, the hydrogen is not more present in the nucleus. The nucleus is now just helium. The helium is coming from the previous fusion process, you know. But Aldebaran is now trying to burn this helium in other things like carbon and oxygen. But in order to make this, Aldebaran needs a higher and higher temperature than the one used earlier. And as a gas, to a very complex and degenerate gas, it has just one chance to reach a higher temperature, that is just reducing its volume, and just after this strong condensation, and the temperature can rise. So at some point Aldebaran will actually burn helium, but right now this is not happening. So the star is still, I must say, enlarging, because while the nucleus is collapsing to reach a higher temperature for helium, there is a lot of flow of heat, and the heat is just inflating the stars. This is why the star is still growing in dimension. This is, I must say, a work in progress situation, and it is fun for me to keep this in mind when you look this fantastic star. At least one of the ones I really prefer. After this, I just want to suggest another destination. This time making happy people with a telescope. I must say, even small telescopes, because you really don't need big guns, I will say, to reach this new object. I'm just asking the system to show the object we are talking about, and we are in a very different place in the sky. Here it is, and I don't say the name, or better, the number, because I really want to show you the map first. It is an object which is reported in the NGC catalog with the number 2392. It is well known as the Eskimo Nebula. So this is a very famous, I must say, a monument in the sky, and this funny name is coming from the shape as observers, when looking at this planetary nebula, just had the idea to see an Eskimo, you know, and I will show you how this is basically true. But before to show an image for this object, an image captured by through the virtual telescope, I just want to mention that the planetary nebulae are just what I would call the grave of a star, with a mass similar to the one of the Sun, and at the very end of its life, the star is now transforming itself in a white dwarf, but the very external layers of its huge, at that point, at that old age, external layer of its atmosphere are now definitely leaving the original place. They are creating a sort of fantastic bubble all around, and that bubble of gas is what we see, and it is what it is giving the Eskimo name to this. And a picture is worth than 1,000 words, you know. So let me try to show this to you. And I really wanted to show you an image captured with the virtual telescope. Here it is for you. You can easily recognize the funny face of the Eskimo. It's clown nose. And maybe also you can now see the this is also the typical hat of the Eskimo, yeah, of course. And this is why this nebula is called this way. This is easy to see also with small telescopes, and this is why I just selected it. So after a very easy target, a bright star, we now have something telescopic, and you can easily recognize the shape with the largely enough instrument. But at the very end, the very last thing I would like to suggest you is now something not so obvious. And we have to move to a quite neglected constellation to spot NGC 2419, and here it is, its identity card, its passport, I would say. It is coming for you, but I would like to show it with its most common name. Here we are, so the map is coming. This is NGC 2419, and this is not a spectacular object by itself. I mean, if you look at it, you are not impressed by what you see, and more likely you are actually disappointed because it is a pale, fuzzy object in the eyepiece and the field of view of your eyepiece at the telescope, and you could be even disappointed by my suggestion, but of course there is a reason for me for trying to bore you while at the scope, as this object is a truly record object. This globular cluster belongs to a larger family, the globular cluster family, which is a population of interesting objects where each of them is like a spherical object hosting a lot of stars very easily, hundreds of thousands of stars, and sometimes even 1 million of stars for the richest globulars around, and they are living outside the spiral structure of the Milky Way, and they are actually embracing the whole Milky Way like a sort of halo, and they live there, and the mean distance between our planet and one of these globular clusters is, just to give you an estimated 30,000 of light years. Well, this object, NGC 2419, is at 10 times that distance. It was discovered the very last day of the year of 1988 by Sir William Herschel, and Arlo Shapley, one of the greatest astronomers of the 20th century, nicknamed this object as intergalactic tramp, also intergalactic wanderer, you know, because it is like a tramp which is helping you to live, at least from an imaginary point of view, leaving your Milky Way and just jumping into the outer space, you know. And the great thing is that for quite a lot of time, astronomers were not sure that the object was part of the Milky Way because it was so far away, it was so distant that it was not easy to say that despite the huge distance, it was still under the gravitational leadership of the Milky Way. Now we know this, but it is still great to recognize, to remember that the Magellanic Clouds, which are satellite galaxies of our Milky Way, are closer to us than this very distant and lost globular cluster. If you will succeed looking at it, and I was a bit exaggerated earlier, you really don't need the Hubble Space Telescope to see this, but of course it is not an object for your small binocular. But when you will succeed, please consider that the pale light you are receiving has traveled in space and time for 300 of thousands of years before to reach your unique and human eye. And I find there is something fantastic here, and I am always obsessed to underlining that while we have plenty of science all around us, please do not forget that first of all we are humans, we have a soul, we have an heart, sorry, and also an earth, of course. And thanks to this, we can really enjoy, we can really feel the thrilling of this perception, you know. And for me, receiving a unique postcard after such an age of travel is bringing to me a feeling and sensation that I can not find in another way. Of course, I'm not saying that other things are not so great, but at least when you receive a guest after such a long trip, at least say hello and enjoy the visit, you know. And I just want to show you a postcard. I must say not so spectacular because it was just a very quick exposure that I did with the Whittle telescope, showing this record object. Where it is? Of course, now I understand where it is. It is in a different directory. And I'm going to show this to you. And the good thing is that you can easily find this object because it is showing in the same direction of a couple of bright stars. You can see them on the right of the image. So they are there to help you reaching the right place where this object is really lurking. I really suggest you to try if you have a telescope capable to reach this find object. And I would really like to hear from you about your observations performed during this month, and if you will write me about your observations, about something interesting, I mean, and I will be more than happy to share with the other friends what you have seen, what you have, I must say, lived under the stars. So I think that we said basically everything. I hope that March will be a great time, a great month for you under the stars, but generally in life. And I also want to acknowledge our sponsors, Unitron Italia Instruments, Software Bisq, Bader Planetarium, Santa Barbara Instruments Group, and Planewave Instruments, making the Virtual Telescope project today the most advanced and widely used facility in the world for science communication and public outreach in astronomy. And this is happening thanks to you, and I wish to thank everybody. I think that that's really all, and Gianluca Masi from Virtual Telescope is wishing you a very nice night, a very nice day, depending on where you are on the globe. Take care and look at the stars and save the sky against light pollution. Goodbye.